This is your Unit 1A Day 2 review video. In this video, you are going to practice problems that fall under the standard 3B. Your job will be to look at this problem and determine whether the answer is positive or negative and explain why. On your summative, you will have a summary sheet that you can refer to help you answer these questions. So if you forget the rules, you can look at your summary sheet to help you remember and answer these type of questions. For this video, I'm going to have you completely complete this page on your own, and then we'll come back and go through it. So at this point, you are going to, again, answer this question, determine whether it's positive or negative, and then explain why. Remember, you can use your calculator to check your work for these problems. I strongly encourage that you do this. All right, pause the video and try on your own. Okay, hopefully you tried these on your own. Your answers might not be exactly the same as mine. Our explanations could both be correct, just worded a little bit differently. So let's look at this first one. 10 plus negative 8. My answer is positive 2. So my answer is positive. And why is it positive 2? Well, the positive number, which is 10, has a larger absolute value, so it's farther from 0. So the answer is positive. So if you put something along the lines as 10 is larger than negative 8, so it's positive, or the positive number is bigger, then the answer is positive. That's totally the same thing. I use absolute value because that is the best term to use, because technically when we're looking at this, we're looking at which number is farther from 0, because the positive numbers will always technically be bigger numbers or numbers with more value. But if you said larger, that is okay. All right, if you did not get this correct, you need to make sure that you are changing your answers. Let's go to the next question. We have negative 10 plus negative 8. My answer is going to be negative 18, so it is a negative answer. And why is it negative? Well, because when you add two numbers with the same sign, the sum, the answer when you add is always that same sign. So here we have the sum of two negative numbers is always going to be negative. If you put something like a negative plus a negative as a negative, that's good too. All right, again, always make sure you have the correct information in your notes before you move on. Right, we have negative 9 plus 5. My answer is negative 4. So that means my answer is negative. And why is that? Well, it's very similar to this number 1. The negative number has a larger absolute value. It's farther from 0. So the answer is negative. Right? So similar wording to that, and you would be considered correct. Okay? Make sure you have the correct information recorded in your notes before you move on. Our last problem for this page is 8 minus negative 2. And the answer here is a positive 10. Positive. And why is that? Well, when you subtract, you add the opposite. So 8 minus negative 2 is equal to 8 plus 2, because we add the opposite. So we think about that. Instead of 8 minus negative 2, it's 8 plus positive 2. We have to change both of the signs. So, and then we can go ahead and use our rules of addition, which is the sum of two positive numbers is always positive. Please make sure you have the correct information in your notes. Even if it's worded a little bit differently, that's okay, as long as it means the same thing. Okay, we're going to be doing the same thing on this page. I want you to remember, this is very important. We made a lot of mistakes with this, is that when we have a number next to a parentheses, that means two, means you are multiplying. Okay, there is no addition or subtraction symbol in between the two numbers. It's just number, parentheses. That means you multiply, right? This little dot right here is also a symbol for multiplication. Okay, so you're going to pause the video and try these on your own. All right, hopefully you had a chance to complete these on your own, which I don't know why you wouldn't have, but here we go. Our first problem, we have -3 minus 10. -3 minus 10 is -13. So the answer is negative. And why is that? When you subtract, you add the opposite. So -3 minus -10 is equal to -3 plus -10. Well, we know that a negative plus a negative is equal to a negative, because when you add two numbers with the same sign, it keeps the sign. Okay, make sure you have something similar to that in your notes before you move on. Here we go. Now for this one, remember it means multiply because there's no operation in between. There's not an addition or subtraction symbol. So here we are multiplying. 8 times -5 is equal to -40. And why is that? Oh, so make sure we circle negative. The answer is always negative when you multiply two numbers with different signs. So a positive times a negative is equal to a negative. So when you multiply, if they're different signs, the answer is always negative. And you might even, maybe you want to highlight here, different signs, negative, because that's the key information right there. Okay, let's move on. Here we go. Here we have 5 times 4, and 5 times 4 is equal to 20, which is a positive number. And why is that? The answer is always positive when you multiply two numbers with the same sign. So if they're the same, the answer is positive. That means a positive multiplied by a positive is equivalent to a positive. You can see up here I just abbreviated, so it went a little faster. That's fine. If you abbreviate, I know what you're talking about. So again, a positive multiplied by a positive is a positive because they are the same sign. And our last problem, here we go. We have -5 times -6. Remember, this means to multiply. -5 times -6 is equal to positive 30. So my answer is positive. And why is it positive? Well, the answer is always positive when you multiply two numbers with the same sign. Same sign, positive. So we have a negative multiplied by a negative. That equals a positive. All right, make sure you have some sort of similar explanation in your notes. And as always, you guys, the notes, the answer key for the notes will be available on Canvas. So if you want to use notes to study and you think that maybe my notes would be easier to study from, then you go ahead and you find the answer on Canvas. The notes are going to be found in Unit 1A Notes module. And there will be a assignment that is just labeled answer keys. So that should be up today. You can go ahead and check that out if you would like to use those notes while you're preparing for your summative. Okay, as always, please reach out to me if you feel like you need extra help. I'm happy to meet with you outside of class.